People make it happen. They get things done. We may have great plans and the best processes, but if we don't have the people available with the right skills, these plans and processes can't be implemented or carried out effectively. Developing people or the workforce and empowering them to give their best is key to defining the difference between an ordinary company and a great organization. In addition, the right processes and technology must be in place to nurture and harness the potential of human capital. An employee life cycle covers the steps employees go through from the time they are hired into an organization until they leave. Human resource professionals often focus their attention on the steps in this process in hopes of making an impact on the organization's bottom line. Normally, their goal is to reduce the organization's cost per employee hired, which theoretically is a good thing. However, this should not be the only goal, because they aren't the ones who can make them stay willingly and be productive with the organization. The managers for whom newly hired employees are going to work can make the real difference in employees wanting to stay and their adding value to the organization. On a practical day-to-day basis, employees don't really work for an organization, they work for somebody, the boss. To the extent that there can be good bosses, they can keep employees motivated, happy and productive, thereby reducing the costs associated with employee turnover. In turn, managers can make their employees' job easier and increase value to the organization. Employees are one of an organization's largest expenses these days. Unlike other major capital costs such as buildings, machinery and technology, human capital is highly volatile. Managers are placed into key positions to reduce that volatility by reducing the overall life cycle cost of employees in the organization. The life cycle consists of 4 steps: hire, inspire, admire, and retire. The first step is probably the most important. It is important to hire the best people we can find. This is not a time to be cheap. The cost of replacing a bad hire far exceeds the marginal additional cost of salary or expenses needed to hire the best person in the first place. Hire talent, not just trainable skills. Skills can be taught to a talented employee. Make your organization a place people want to come to and work for. An organization's culture can be a powerful recruiting tool. Ensure that the new hire understands the goals your department or organization wants to achieve. Once we have recruited the best employees to come to work on our team, the hard part begins. We have to inspire them to perform to their best abilities. We have to challenge and motivate them. That is where we will get their best effort and creativity that will help the organization excel. Make them welcome. Make them feel like part of the team from day one. Set goals for them that are hard but achievable. Be a leader, not just a manager. It is a good practice to assign a mentor to help them get acquainted with the new environment. Once we have hired the best employees and have challenged and motivated them, our job to inspire them continues. The biggest mistake is made when a manager ignores them. As soon as we start to slack off, their satisfaction and motivation decrease. If we don't do something, they will become disenchanted and will leave. They will become part of the employee turnover statistics that need to be avoided. Give employees positive feedback as much as possible, even if it's just a few good words. Provide appropriate rewards and recognition for jobs well done. Provide them additional training to develop new skill sets. The time when somebody retires after a long service is when we know that we have been successful. When employees see the organization as the employer of choice, they will come and work for us. When they recognize us as a good boss and a real leader, they will stay around. As long as we continue to inspire, motivate, and challenge them, they will continue to contribute at the high levels the organization needs in order to beat the competition. They will be long-term employees, even staying with the organization until they retire. They will refer other quality employees, including their relatives. Organizations will attract and retain second and even third generation loyal employees. Along the way, the organization will have had some of the most creative and productive employees with the lowest employee costs in the market. There is a shortage of skilled industrial workers, the people who operate and maintain sophisticated asset systems on the plant floor, as well as engineering and management professionals. This shortage poses a serious threat to our industrial competitiveness. The shortage lies in the demographics, as most veterans have left the workplace and baby boomers are getting close to their retirement. Predominantly, 4 generations of workers coexist in today's workplace: silent-born, baby boom-born, Generation X and Generation Y. The differences between the generations create many challenges in the workplace. These challenges, which can be both negative and positive, often relate to variations in perspective and goals as a result of generational differences. This area gets further complicated because of the age differences between managers and employees. Organizations can't assume that people of varying ages will understand each other or have the same perspective and goals. In order to be successful, there is a need to understand and value the generational differences and perspectives and turn those negatives into positives. Each group's talents and most common differences are discussed in this lecture. The silent generation is adaptive in nature and has a very intense sense of loyalty and dedication. They are also known as traditionalists. Many of them have been puppets, paupers, or pirates. As a result, they have a wealth of knowledge to contribute to any organization. Some in this group are not leaving the workforce yet. It is important to note that some can't leave due to financial reasons. Others love their work, are still in good health, and want to continue to contribute to the company. The work ethic of the silent generation is built on commitment, responsibility, and conformity as tickets to success. The challenge for leaders is how to empower silent employees to find out what motivates them and then tailor the job to each individual's needs. They still want respect for contribution and longevity. It's also crucial that leaders don't let them think that their time has come, that they should go. They have a loyalty and commitment that is increasingly hard to find in younger employees. Boomers, idealists in nature, have always been seen as loyal to their organizations. They feel a sense of belonging and dedication based on their history. They welcome team-based work, especially as an anti-authoritarian declaration to the silence ahead of them, but they can become very political when their turf is threatened. Rocked by years of reorganizing, reengineering, and relentless change, they now long to stabilize their careers. Boomers are motivated by power and prestige. Boomers are often traditionalists, and perks of the position matter. They want titles and authority commensurate with responsibility. Networking and learning. Boomers want to participate in associations and conventions that keep them professionally connected to their peers. Boomers are motivated by working together on professional projects in affiliation with others like them. Long-term benefits. Boomers are interested in compensation that is more long-term, such as profit sharing and healthcare benefits, including long-term care. Generation X. In general, these are born during the 1960s and 1970s. This generation therefore includes a range of employees in their 30s, 40s, and early 50s. They grew up very quickly amid rising divorce rates, latchkeys, violence, and low expectations. They entered the job market in the wake of the boomers, only to be confronted with new terms like downsizing and reductions in force as the economy plunged into recession. It's hardly surprising then that they tend to be skeptical toward authority and cautious in their commitments. Their self-reliance has led them in unprecedented numbers to embrace free agency over organizational loyalty. Ambitious and independent, they are now striving to balance the competing demands of work, family, and personal life. Generation X brings new challenges as well as new ideas into the labor market. They want and demand benefits such as stock option plans, healthcare insurance and time off, paid vacations, sick days, personal leave days. They tend to be less motivated by promises of overtime pay and more motivated by personal satisfaction with their jobs. The number one benefit for Generation X is training development opportunities to enhance further their careers. They want to grow in their jobs and learn new skills. Generation X do not anticipate staying with one job or company throughout their entire career. They have seen their parents laid off. Many of them have grown up in divorced family situations. They expect to change jobs as they seek employment that offers them both better benefits and more opportunity for professional growth as well as a personal fulfillment. They want and expect their employers to hear what they have to say. They have an interest in understanding the big picture for the organization and how this influences their employment and growth. They are less likely to accept a "because I said so" attitude from a supervisor. Some of the ways to motivate Generation X to maximize productivity are: take time to be personal. Thank an employee for doing a good job in person, in writing, or both. Listen to what employees have to say, both in a one-on-one situation and in a group meeting. Encourage growth. Provide feedback on the employee's performance. Make sure the employee understands expectations. Involve them in the decision-making process whenever possible. Provide training. Pay for employees to attend workshops and seminars. Provide on-site classes where employees can learn new skills or improve upon old ones. Challenge them. Motivate through rewards and promotions. Recognize employees who have done an outstanding job by giving an unexpected reward, such as day off or a free dinner for employees and their family at a nice restaurant. Encourage teamwork. Provide opportunities for collaboration and teamwork. This generation fuels their fire through teamwork. Create ownership. Help employees understand how the business operates. They need to experience a sense of ownership. Encourage this by providing them with information about new products or services, advertising campaigns, strategies for competing, etc. Build morale. Have an open work environment. Encourage initiative and welcome new ideas. Don't be afraid to spend a few dollars for such things as free coffee or tea for employees, or ordering a meal for employees who have to work overtime. Take time to speak with an employee's spouse or family when you meet them and let them know you appreciate the employees. Generation X look for more than just fair pay. They need and want personal acknowledgement and job satisfaction. In general, Generation Y are those born after 1980. They are also known as Echo Boom or Millennial Generation. This generation therefore includes a range of employees from those approaching their late 20s and all the way to older teenagers just entering the job market. Coming of age during a shift toward virtue and values, they are attracted to organizations whose missions speak to a purpose greater than a bottom line. They are technologically savvy with a positive can-do attitude that says, "I'm here to make a difference," and they will. To motivate them, consider the following suggestions. Work schedule flexibility. Provide them flexibility in when and where work is done. Generation Y resist what they see as rigid workday starting times. They do not understand why coming to work 15-30 minutes late is viewed by boomers as irresponsible behavior. Change and challenges. Generation Y are interested in change and challenge. They will leave a higher-paying good job for the opportunity to experience something new. They do not see their careers as needing to be linear. They stay in a particular job often no more than 2 to 3 years. Do not interpret their rebellious nature as negative. Caution: sometimes they need to vent out. Let them do it. Do not take it personally. This generation will challenge and change much of what we need to change. Although Generation X and Y are motivated by different things, both age groups need the following. Frequent communication, including being told the why and not just the what of projects and priorities. To be included and not just in what affects them most directly. to have fun at work. In order for an organization to be truly successful, all coexisting generations in the workplace need to understand and value each other, even when their perspectives and goals are different. As silent baby boomers, Generation X and Y, intersect in the workplace, their attitudes, ethics, values, and behaviors inevitably collide. Nearly 70% of participants in a recent web poll say they are experiencing a generation rift. Organizations need to look beyond this clash of the generations for ways to leverage multi-generational perspective to their benefit. If we take the time to master a few tools and strategies for communicating across generations, we will be better positioned to tap the best that each generation, as well as each individual, brings to the workplace. People in organizations typically spend over 75% of their time in interpersonal situations to get work done. It is no surprise to find that poor communications are at the root of a large number of organizational problems. Effective communication is an essential component of organizational success, whether it is at the interpersonal, intergroup, intragroup, organizational, or external level. Effective communication is all about conveying messages to other people clearly and unambiguously. It's also about receiving information that others send to us with as little distortion as possible. Effective communication exists between two people when the receiver interprets and understands the sender's message in the same way the sender intended. By successfully getting the message across and convey our thoughts and ideas effectively, when not successful, the thoughts and ideas that we actually send do not necessarily reflect what we think, causing a communications breakdown and creating roadblocks that stand in the way of our and the organization's success, both personally and professionally. Problem with communication can be at every stage of the communication process. Sender, the source, encoding, channel the media, decoding, receiver, and feedback. At each stage there is the potential for misunderstanding and confusion. To be effective communicators and to get our point across without misunderstanding and confusion, our goal should be to reduce the frequency of problems at each stage of this process with clear, concise, accurate, and well-planned communications. The key elements of communications process are the sender. The senders, the source of the message, need to be clear about why they are communicating and what they want to communicate. In addition, the senders need to ensure that the information being communicated is useful and accurate. The message is the information that we want to communicate. Encoding. This is the process of transferring the information we want to communicate into a form that can be sent and correctly decoded at the other end. Successful encoding depends partly on our ability to convey information clearly and simply, but also to anticipate and eliminate sources of confusion. For example, cultural issues, wrong assumptions, and missing information can interfere with clear communication. Failure to understand who we are communicating with will result in delivering messages that are misunderstood. The channel. We convey our message through the channel or media. Channels can be verbal, including face-to-face meetings, telephone and video conferencing. Written channels include letters, emails, memos, and reports. In order to understand the message correctly, we must decode it, which involves taking time to read the message carefully or listening actively. Just as confusion can arise from encoding errors, it can also arise from decoding errors. This is particularly the case if the decoder does not have enough knowledge to understand the message. Listening is a very important skill which we will discuss in the next lecture. Receiver is the person for whom the message was intended. To be a successful communicator, we should consider how the receiver will react to the message. Feedback. Feedback is what the receiver sends back to us as verbal and non-verbal reactions to our communicated message. We need to pay close attention to this feedback, as it is the only thing that can give us assurance the audience has understood our message. If we find that there has been a misunderstanding, at least now we have the opportunity to send the message a second time to clarify the issue. Part of the feedback process involves understanding and predicting how the other person will react. We need to understand ways that we respond to feedback, especially threatening feedback. Feedback provides the basic need to improve and to be accurate. It can be reinforcing if given properly. It is crucial that we realize how critical feedback can be. It should always be appreciated. Listening is one of the most important skills we can have. How well we listen has a major impact on our job effectiveness and on the quality of our relationships with others. We listen to obtain information, understand, enjoy, or learn. There are three basic listening modes. Comparative listening. This happens when we are more interested in promoting our own point of view than in understanding or exploring someone else's view. We listen either for openings to take the floor or for flaws or weak points we can attack. We don't pay any attention to the sender, but instead are formulating our rebuttal plan. Passive or attentive listening. In this mode, we are genuinely interested in hearing and understanding the other person's point of view. We are attentive and passively listen. Active listening. In active listening, we are genuinely interested in understanding what the other person is thinking, feeling, or wanting, and what the message means. We actively check out our understanding before we respond with our own new message. Listening is a skill that we can all benefit from improving. By becoming better listeners, we will improve our productivity, as well as our ability to influence, persuade, and negotiate. What's more, we will avoid conflict and misunderstandings, all necessary for workplace success. Become an active listener. There are 5 elements of active listening. They all help us ensure that we hear the other person and that the other person knows we are hearing what they are saying. Pay attention. Give the speaker undivided attention and acknowledge the message. Look at the speaker directly, put aside distracting thoughts, listen to the speaker's body language, refrain from side conversations and avoid being distracted by environmental factors. Show that we are listening. Use body language and gestures to convey that we are listening. Not occasionally. Smile and use other facial expressions. Encourage the speaker to continue with small verbal commands like yes. Provide feedback. Our personal filters, assumptions, judgments, and beliefs can distort what we hear. As a listener, our role is to understand what is being said. This may require us to reflect what is being said and ask questions. Reflect what has been said by paraphrasing. What I'm hearing is, and sounds like you are saying, are great ways to reflect back. Ask questions to clarify certain points. Is this what you mean, for example? Defer judgment. Interrupting is a waste of time. It frustrates the speaker and limits full understanding of the message. If you don't agree with the speaker's view, wait till you hear the full story or till the end during the question and answer period to bring your viewpoint. It's the speaker who is speaking. Allow the speaker to finish. Don't interrupt with counter-arguments. Avoid negative mannerisms, but respond. Everyone has a mannerism. If a mannerism is encouraging and brings positive response, do it often. Unfortunately, some mannerisms are negative or distracting. These should be avoided. Tapping a pencil or pen or playing with a rubber band or other objects. Continually looking at the watch or clock. Reading book or reports or texting, emailing. Displaying arrogance or lack of interest. Active listening is a model for respect and understanding. It takes a lot of concentration and determination to be an active listener. Old habits are hard to break. It requires a lot of self-discipline to do it. Meetings are wonderful tools for generating ideas, expanding on thoughts, and managing group activity. But this face-to-face contact with team members and colleagues can easily fail without adequate preparation and leadership. Effective communication is an enabler to make meetings successful. To ensure everyone involved has the opportunity to provide their input, establish meeting rules, where, when, and how long. This will allow all participants the time needed to adequately prepare for the meeting. Once a meeting time and place have been chosen, ensure that the leader or coordinator is available for questions that may arise as participants prepare for the meeting. As the meeting leader, make a meeting agenda complete with detailed notes. In these notes, outline the goal and proposed structure of the meeting and share this with the participants. This will allow all involved to prepare and to come to the meeting ready to work together to meet the goals at hand. The success of the meeting depends largely on the skills displayed by the meeting leader. To ensure the meeting is successful, the leader should issue an agenda, start the discussion, and encourage active participation. Work to keep the meeting at a comfortable pace, not moving too fast or too slow. Summarize the discussion and the recommendations at the end of each logical section. Ensure all participants receive minutes promptly. Managing meetings. Choosing the right participants is key to the success of any meeting. Make sure all participants can contribute. Choose good decision makers and problem solvers. Try to keep the number of participants to a maximum of 12, preferably fewer. Make sure the people with the necessary information for the items listed in the meeting agenda are the ones who are invited. As a meeting leader, work diligently to ensure everyone's thoughts and ideas are heard by guiding the meeting so that there is a free flow of debate with no individual dominating and no extensive discussions between two people. As time dwindles for each item on the distributed agenda, it will be necessary to stop the discussion, then quickly summarize the debate on that agenda, and move on to the next item on the agenda. When an agenda item is resolved or action is agreed upon, make it clear who in the meeting will be responsible for this. In an effort to bypass confusion and misunderstandings, summarize the action to be taken and include this in the meeting's minutes. Meetings are notorious for eating up people's time. Here are some ways of ensuring that time is not wasted in meetings. Start on time. Don't recap what you have covered if someone comes in late. It sends the message that it is okay to be late for meetings, and it wastes everyone else's valuable time. State the finish time for the meeting and don't overrun. If needed to overrun, ensure everyone is available to stay for a stated period. To help stick to the stated finish time, arrange your agenda in order of importance, so that if you have to omit or rush items at the end to make the finish time, you don't omit or skip on important items. Finish the meeting before the stated finish time if you have achieved everything you need to. Minutes record the decisions of the meeting and the actions agreed. They provide a record of the meeting, and more important, they provide a review document for use at the next meeting so that progress can be measured. This makes them a useful disciplining technique, as the individual's performance and non-performance of agreed actions is given high visibility. Developing people within an organization should be viewed as an investment. Then it becomes easy to understand the importance of maintaining this key resource so that it keeps performing at optimum level. If we know the cost of replacing an employee, then it is easy to conclude that getting the most from employees just makes good business sense. But this is much easier said than done, particularly with so many diverse behaviors, motivations, and desires. Job task analysis is one of the techniques that could be used to identify specific training needs, ensuring that employees have appropriate knowledge and skill set to do their jobs effectively. Job task analysis is the foundation of a successful training program. Before employees can be trained, we must identify what they need to learn. Job analysis is a process that determines in detail the particular duties and requirements for a given job, as well as the relative importance of these duties. A job is a collection of tasks and responsibilities that are assigned to an employee. A task is typically defined as a unit of work, that is, a set of activities needed to produce some results. For example, changing belts, repairing a pump, delivering or expediting materials, performing FMEAs, or sorting the mail. Complex positions in the organization may include a large number of tasks, which are sometimes referred to as functions. Job descriptions are lists of general tasks or functions and responsibilities of a position. Typically, they also include to whom the position reports, specifications such as the qualifications needed by the person in the job, salary range, etc. Job descriptions are usually developed by conducting a job analysis, which includes examining the tasks and sequences of tasks necessary to perform the job. The analysis looks at the areas of knowledge and skills needed for the job. A role is the set of responsibilities or expected results associated with a job. A job usually includes several roles. An important aspect of job analysis is that the analysis is conducted for the job functions, not the person. Although job analysis data may be collected from incumbents through interviews or questionnaires, the product of the analysis is a description of or specifications of the job, not a description of the person. The purpose of job analysis is to establish and document the skills required for performing the job effectively. This can help in employment procedures such as selection of employees, compensation, performance appraisals, and trainings. New hire selection process procedures. Job analysis can be used in the selection process to identify or develop job duties that should be included in advertisements of vacant positions. Appropriate salary level for the position to help determine what salary should be offered to a candidate. Minimum requirements, education and experience for screening applicants. Interview questions, selection instruments, applicant appraisals and evaluation forms, orientation materials for applicants and new hires. Performance review. Job analysis can be used in the performance review to identify or develop goals and objectives, performance standards, evaluation criteria, job duties to be evaluated, time period between evaluations. Job analysis can be used to identify required knowledge and skills and to develop appropriate training, including training content, assessment tests, equipment to be used in delivering the training, methods of training. Several methods may be used individually or in combination to perform job analysis. They include review of job classification systems, incumbent interviews and logs, observations, area supervisor interviews, expert panels, structured questionnaires, task inventories, and checklists. A typical method of job analysis is to give the incumbent a simple questionnaire to identify job duties, responsibilities, equipment used, work relationships, and work environment. The completed questionnaire is then used to assist the job analyst, who conducts an interview with the incumbents. Next, a draft of the identified job duties, responsibilities, work environment, asset and tools knowledge, and relationships is reviewed with the supervisor for accuracy. The job analyst then prepares a job description and job specifications. In case of a new position, the job analyst prepares the document with the help of the requester and area supervisor. Information collected by the job analyst can be grouped into the following 5 categories. Duties and tasks. The basic unit of a job is the performance of specific tasks and duties. Information to be collected about these items may include frequency, duration, effort, skills, complexity, equipment, and standards. The work environment may include unpleasant conditions such as temperature extremes, offensive odors, and physical limitations or constraints that can hinder the job performance. There may also be definite risks such as noxious fumes, radioactive exposures such as X-rays, and dangerous explosives. Tools and equipment. Some duties and tasks are performed using specific equipment and tools. Equipment may include protective clothing. These items need to be specified in a job analysis. Relationships. Is supervision required or not? What kind of interaction does the job require, internally with fellow employees or externally with others outside the organization? Requirements. Knowledge, skills, and abilities are required to perform the job. Although an incumbent may have higher knowledge, skills, and abilities than those required for the job, a job analysis typically states only the minimum requirements to perform the job. A well-developed training program based on job task analysis and maintenance skills assessment can provide the solution to inadequate skills availability. The training must be focused to produce results as quickly as possible and must also meet an organization's long-term goals. Training, when developed and implemented properly, can help organizations save money, increase productivity and product quality, and improve employee morale. Training resources and benchmark. How much money should be spent on training? How much is good enough? Many organizations face this dilemma. Some managers believe that money spent on training has a very low or poor return on investment. In reality, this is not so, because benefits and results cannot be realized in the short term. Training metrics are lagging indicators and it takes a while to see the results. This figure here lists typical benchmark data based on reviewing several benchmark studies and my personal discussion with many HR and training managers. In a recent survey of 984 North American manufacturing plants, the Manufacturing Performance Group found the following training levels: more than 40 hours per year per person. For the States, 18%, Canada 17%, and Mexico 29%. Only 18% of manufacturers in the United States spend more than 40 hours per person annually on training, compared to 29% of Mexican manufacturers. Certification and qualification. Organizations want their people to have a good understanding and appropriate skills in the various fields in order to help them to become more efficient and effective. How do we know that the employees have the required knowledge? How do we assess that knowledge? Did they comprehend the proper use of tools and best practices during training sessions? Certification is a means to assess the required knowledge or set of skills in a specific field. Why do organizations need to get their people certified? What value does a certification provide? These are the questions raised by many organizations. One answer is, can we afford not to get certified? Certification measures and evaluates an employee's understanding of a body of knowledge in a specific area with a standard knowledge that has been established by an appropriate industrial or academic body. Developing people and managing them to be productive is a key factor in operating a successful business. The success of workforce management hinges on implementation of the following core, though independent goals. Aligning the workforce with the business strategy, attracting, developing, and retaining key talent, managing diversity. We will explore those in this lecture. Succession planning, developing a leadership culture, establishing and maintaining a learning environment, and creating a flexible work environment. We'll look at those four in the next lecture. Aligning the workforce with the business strategy. Let's start with that. Employees need to know why the organization is in business. Involve employees in creating or confirming the organization's mission. Crystallize the organization's reason for being and the direction it plans to take into the future. People support what they help to create. Having the right people in the organization has a huge influence on the successfully executing the business strategy. Elevating workforce management to the level of a strategic function and aligning it with an organization's overall strategic direction can provide a focused approach to people development. Attracting, developing, and retaining key talent. Individuals are still likely to shop around for better opportunities if they are not nurtured on the job. A well-defined process for developing people means enhancing career and succession planning programs to show employees that the organization is committed to their long-term success. It also means demonstrating a desire for strategic investment in career development programs. 5 primary reasons why people leave or change jobs are listed here. A plan should be in place to minimize the impact of these factors. I don't fit in here. This perspective is a corporate culture issue in most cases. Employees are also concerned with the organization's reputation, the physical conditions of comfort, convenience, safety, and the clarity of mission. They wouldn't miss me. Even though managers do value employees, they don't tell them often enough. If people don't feel important, they are not motivated to stay. No one wants to be a commodity, easily replaced by someone off the street. They will leave for a position where they are appreciated. I don't get the support to get my job done. Most of the time people really do want to do a good job. When they are frustrated by too many rules, red tape, or incompetent supervisors or co-workers, employees look for other opportunities. Lack of opportunity for advancement. People want to learn, to sharpen their skills, and to pick up new knowledge and skills. They want to improve their capacity to perform a wide variety of jobs. They desire better training opportunities and development. If people can find the growth opportunities within an organization, they will seek another employer where they can grow. Compensation is the last reason people leave. Employees want fair compensation, but the first 4 aspects must be strong. If they're not, but compensation is high, you will hear people say, "You can't pay me enough to stay here." Many organizations are either trying to lure valued retirees back to work or entice older workers to stay on the job longer. However, an organization needs to capture the knowledge that retiring baby boomers threaten to take with them. Mentoring is an effective way of transferring that knowledge. Assign young employees with experienced baby boomers and let them mentor and transfer their knowledge. Today's workforce also likes to have stretch goals. It may require abandoning some old ways of doing things to optimize employees' options and thus maximize chances of retaining nurtured talent. We need to make job opportunities visible across the organization, as well as invest in retraining and reassignment of responsibilities. Of course, the right compensation plan is as crucial as career advancement opportunities for all high-performing employees. Managing diversity. Over 80% of new entrants into the workforce today are women and minorities. This changing workforce is one of the major challenges facing businesses. Organizations that recognize the need to fully develop all members of the workforce demographic are forced to manage diversity. Definitions of diversity range from narrow to very broad. Narrow definitions tend to reflect equal employment opportunity law and define diversity in terms of race, gender, ethnicity, age, national origin, religion, and disability. Broad definitions may include sexual orientation, values, personality characteristics, education, language, physical appearance, marital status, lifestyle beliefs, and background characteristics. In the near future, the labor market will become more and more of a seller's market. The shrinking workforce and the shortage of skilled labor will force employers to compete to attract and retain all available employees, including previously underrepresented groups. These demographic changes have led many organizations to begin changing their cultures in order to value and manage diversity better. The number of workers aged 20 to 44 will decrease, and workers aged 45 to 84 will increase in many countries, such as the States, United Kingdom, Germany, Japan, and China. Many boomers say they plan to balance work and leisure in retirement. They don't plan to stop working at age 65, instead opting for a working retirement. The reasons are both financial and personal. Several studies have found that many corporate policies hinder efforts to adapt to the aging workforce. Still, most organizations say they hire for ability and willingness to work. A few employers say they are hiring wisdom when hiring older workers. Gray-haired workers are viewed as reliable, settled, compassionate, and honest. We will continue in the next lecture. Let's continue with resource management in this last lecture of this section. In this lecture, we are going to talk about succession planning, developing a leadership culture, establishing and maintaining a learning environment, and creating a flexible work environment. Let's start with succession planning. This is another key element of the workforce development process. It is the process of identifying and preparing suitable employees through mentoring, training, and job rotation to replace key players in the company. It involves having management periodically reviews their key personnel and those in the next lower level to determine several backups for key positions. This is important because it often takes years of grooming to develop effective managers and leaders. A careful and considered action plan ensures the least possible disruption to the person's responsibilities and to the organization's effectiveness if a key player suddenly becomes unavailable to perform his or her role. The goal of succession planning is to continuously identify and develop high-performing leaders capable of meeting the future needs of the organization. Goals should include a formal identification process supported by leadership development that builds leadership capacity within the organization. Many organizations now use succession planning to address the succession of workers at many different levels as they leave the workforce. A workforce planning strategy should include ongoing workforce training and leadership development to meet the looming challenge of an aging workforce. There are 5 keys to successful succession planning. First, identify key leadership criteria. Find future leaders and motivate them. Create a sense of responsibility within the organization. Align succession planning with the corporate culture. Measure results and reinforce desired behaviors so that employees are prepared and trained for the jobs of tomorrow. Succession planning ensures that there are highly qualified people in all positions, not just today, but tomorrow, next year, in 5 years from now. Succession planning establishes a process that recruits employees, develops their skills and abilities, and prepares them for advancement, all while retaining them to guarantee a return on the organization's training investment. Succession planning involves the following steps. Determine critical positions. Identify current and future competencies for positions. Create assessment and selection tools. Identify gaps in current employee and candidate competency levels. Develop individual development plans for employees. Develop and implement coaching and mentoring programs. Assist with leadership, transition and development. Develop an evaluation plan for succession management. Developing a leadership culture. Managers and supervisors should be encouraged to become leaders. Directive, autocratic management styles will soon become a thing of the past. The leaders of tomorrow will need to be facilitative, establishing agreed-upon results with individual performance. The management role will provide needed resources, support, and coaching. Part of the leader's role will be to help people reach their full potential and then raise the bar to keep them growing. Leaders inspire rather than direct. They coach, encourage, and guide. Effective leaders earn agreement with their people about what has to be done. They determine with their team members what resources are needed to get the job done. They arrange those resources and then get out of the way so their people can perform. Leaders appreciate and recognize their people. People are hungry for appreciation, thanking people every day, being sincere and specific, seeking creative ways to show care and appreciation are some valuable components of good leadership styles. Leaders also endeavor to educate and train all managers to coach their team members on an ongoing basis. They focus on helping each worker learn how to improve performance. Continuous improvement is much more effective than annual appraisal alone. Supervisors, managers need to learn new coaching techniques to deal with the new diversified workforce. Establishing and maintaining learning environment. An environment conducive to learning is maintained by being supportive to personal and professional growth through education, training and people development to help every employee become more competent and confident. Personal and corporate growth objectives are linked to build an environment that bonds people to the organization. When people can meet their personal needs through their employment, they will be more likely to stay. Creating a flexible work environment. Rigidity in the employment environment is waning. On the contrary, there is a trend toward more flexible work hours. Work policies that allow working from home are being demanded. The organization's policies need to be reviewed and changes made if necessary to meet the needs of this new work environment. The move away from formality at work can also be seen in dress attire. It started with casual Fridays and has now moved to the acceptance of corporate casual dress every day. Relationships have also become more informal. Research shows that the informality removes status barriers and improves measurable productivity. This change to informality does not come without consequences. Policies and procedures must be changed to allow this informality, but with guidance to protect personnel from harassment and inappropriate behavior toward and between employees.